Hello Reds, welcome along to All for United.
Welcome everybody, welcome back to All for United. Second game in a row for me now where we've lost, and I'm going to hand in my resignation as well, I think, from hosting shows. Not a good run of events. Not good today. I'm waiting for two more people actually, so hopefully big man Barry and Neil will turn up shortly. But in the meantime, the four of us, tell me your thoughts, Connor. What do you reckon, mate? Where did it go wrong? I mean, it was pretty sort of lacklustre in the end, wasn't it? We seemed to start so well. Sublime goal by Cavani. I don't give a shit whether it was offside or all that talk. It was a fantastic finish. If this was Ronaldo, Messi, Lewandowski, you wouldn't hear the rest of it. It was a superb finish. But then after that, Fulham came knocking, and it was just poor from us, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Who wants to jump in?
Yeah, no, I don't mind going first. I mean, to be honest, I just want to sit here and watch that Cavani goal on repeat over and over again. I don't know. We didn't do anything else in the game. We got exposed again. Well, Wan-Bissaka got exposed again. I don't think there was much more he could have done, but we see that a lot. It's similar with set pieces. Wan-Bissaka, when the ball's on the far side, if Luke Shaw gets beat, Wan-Bissaka is most of the time left with two people, and he can't really make his mind up on which one to go to. So we got caught out there again. And let's be honest, it's not like we deserve to win anyway. I mean, we created a few chances. Bruno had a few pop shots at the keeper, which was easily saved. Greenwood should have scored on that chance. But, I mean, we've seen Rashford and Martial, Cavani, Bruno. They've all missed chances like that, so I'm not going to go in on him. I mean, I've just tweeted it. Ultimately, it doesn't really affect our season and where we should finish second. I mean, if Leicester win tonight, then we've got to win on the final day or at least get a draw, on the final day. So it doesn't really affect our season. I think it's frustrating because, I mean, that's 1 win in 5 now. And second place should have been wrapped up 2 weeks ago. And we're going into the last game of the season if Leicester win tonight, still trying to fight for second place. It's just, Benny said it on the preview show, I think, we needed to build momentum for the final. And we're not doing that. We're doing the complete opposite. We're just killing any confidence we had. So, I mean, yeah, it probably shouldn't annoy fans. I mean, it was great to see fans back. That's the main thing today. I mean, regardless of whatever the result and the performance, fans were back, which is a good start. But yeah, we're not giving ourselves much hope for the final, are we?
No, a couple of points on that, Connor. I'm glad you mentioned about the fans. It was great to see that today. The noise was fantastic. And, we're not even at full capacity and people were going nuts. And it was really great to see. Lovely, lovely noise. I'm very jealous that I couldn't be there. And I hope that everybody that was there had a fantastic day. And we've been talking about this for weeks. Cavani scoring a goal in front of the Stretford end. And I can only hope that happens 1, 2, 10, 15, 20 times more, because I think he would have got at least a glimpse of how that was today. So I'm very pleased for him. Benny, great to see you on again, mate. I just want to say hello to Barry and Neil. Thanks for coming, guys. I'm sorry that we can't be here on more positive note. But yeah, Benny, give me your thoughts, mate. Do you think where do you think it was lost? Do you just think it wasn't good enough today and we make it hard for ourselves, as Connor said?
I just think it's concentration again, mate. At the back, it's like Luke Shaw, he's been fantastic all season, but yet again, dwelling on the ball, not clearing his lines again, but a bit guilty there. And as Connor said about Wan-Bissaka as well, every time the ball gets floated over to that far stick, he seems to have 2 men on him. He's questioning which man to go with, I don't know, mate. I said it in the pre-match show, we need to be building momentum, but we're stumbling into this Europa League final at the minute. We need to pick ourselves up and really have a long, hard look at ourselves, man, because Wolves are going to be a tough test. last game of the season. We need a win. We really desperately need a win to go into that Europa League final on some sort of momentum. Cavani's goal was absolutely brilliant, absolutely world class. Well, I wish I was there. I was jealous. I was, I got chubbed in the original ballad, and I've been scrambling all the last few days trying to get a spare single ticket, and I've not been able to find one. And I'm dead jealous of all the fans that went there to witness that goal. My only gripe was I saw a few leaving very early, which, you're not being at Old Trafford for 14 months. What the hell are you leaving early for with 10, 15 minutes to go? But, I just think we're just stumbling at the minute, mate. It seems to be bitty again. That word I like to use is bitty. It seems really bitty. We get ourselves a goal in front, and we're not looking to go and kill the game. We're not looking to go and get a second goal. Yes, we had a couple of efforts, from Bruno, but comfortable for the goalkeeper, really. We're not looking to go for the kill. We just seem to be. I don't know. Are we second guessing ourselves? Are we? As a confidence drained a little bit, I don't understand. Since losing Maguire, as our confidence sort of, are we feeling a little bit unsure of ourselves? It's just many questions, mate, and it just, but I can't find the answer. It's baffled me over the last couple of games. It really has. Well, 3 games now. It really has.
I don't think you're going to find the answers, mate. You're absolutely right. We've got so many questions to ask at the moment. We've lost Harry Maguire. I do think that subconsciously we'll probably have taken a bit of a hit psychologically, and that doesn't bode well. But it doesn't instill you with any confidence, does it? We've got a Europa League or not, we've got a massive, massive game coming up, and we absolutely, for the whole team, for the manager, for the fans, we need to win that. And we do look short of that confidence. We're lacking Harry Maguire, as you said. Luke Shaw, he's not been particularly great the last couple of games, and that's even today he wasn't brilliant. Against Liverpool he wasn't brilliant, and before that he was phenomenal. And obviously you don't want to see that in any of your players. If they start to come off the pace a little bit. Barry, good to see you, mate. It's been a long time. I hope you're doing well in South Africa.
Yeah.
Of course he's not. He's in South Africa.
Yeah, of course he is. Better than being in miserable Britain, isn't it? Hey? So give me your thoughts, Barry. I take it you were screaming at your TV, as always, when we play that, Paul.
I hated the game tonight. We had one moment of magic, and the rest of the game was pedestrian, lacking creativity. And, this game is United in a microcosm. We don't put the game away. We're leading. You should have buried them. They relegated. I mean, really, an absolutely inept performance. If I have to look at where the problem lies, I think that the loss of Maguire has been very, very underestimated. And I certainly think that a lot of people will appreciate just how good Maguire is now that we don't have him. The defense looks shambolic. The connection between defense and midfield, I think Maguire is a very good distributor of the ball, good in the air, and we are missing him very badly. So I think therein lies the problem in terms of how we've played in the last few games. Bit of a lack of leadership on the field, and the same old problems. Everything going down the left, nothing down the right, no creativity, poor link play between the midfield and the front runners, and very, very disappointing. And if I may add, and I know it's contentious, again, I say, I think the manager's in-game management at times leaves a lot to be desired, because there should have been earlier substitutions, there should have been fresh legs, there should have been more urgency, and very, very disappointing. And the way we capitulated against Liverpool was also, I know that's been visited already, but it's most disappointing, because we should be concentrating on the Europa League final. Second spot should have been nailed down games ago. And quite frankly, I don't give a jot whether we come second or third. Come Sunday, he cannot put out his strongest team. He's got to wrap a couple of these players in cotton wool, because can you imagine going into the final without the likes of Bruno or without the likes of Wan-Bissaka, for example? So very disappointing. And I have to say, come Sunday, I think, Sunday for me is a meaningless game. It's all about Wednesday. And It's a very, very important game. We need to win that because we need to get, the enthusiasm back in the club. We need silverware, and we need to be looking at next season. So therein, but I think in the short term, the loss of Maguire has been a big, big problem for the team. And quite frankly, we don't have another decent centre back. And the two guys that played tonight, I thought were woeful.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on. I think we spoke about this in the review last week. I think it really does show how crystal clear it is that Harry is. That there's been lots of talk about him not being a leader, and we've spoken about this before. You don't really know what happens on the football field, and I think that leadership doesn't have to be vocal necessarily. It doesn't have to be screaming all the time, and he does do that on the pitch as well. And I think he brings a huge amount to the team, and he is hugely missed. And you know what? Gary Neville said this tonight, and I absolutely agree with him. I think really, if you looked at the team with players like Rashford, Bruno, Pogba, Maguire, I think most, if not the majority of people would say, who would you least likely to lose? And I think that would be Harry Maguire. And I think that's shown in the last couple of games. I just hope to God that he's fit enough for the final. Otherwise, we could have some real problems unless we actually attack with a little bit of commitment next time. But anyway, Neil, Barry touched upon Ollie and substitutions, and I don't disagree with him actually. But would you be in agreement with that? Do you think that he should have brought some players on sooner? Van der Beek made an appearance 84 minutes, didn't really get enough opportunity. Would you agree with that, mate?
You don't need to ask that question, Mark. It's shocking, isn't it? The in-game management is laughable, and Alex Ferguson was sat in the stands watching that, and I bet he was doing his fucking nut about the way the game has been managed. We scored a wonder goal, and after that, there was fanning about, flicks like. I mean, the goal was offside. It was genuinely. If that had been scored against us and VAR, we would have done our fucking nuts. It was a brilliant finish. It wasn't Cavani's fault in any way whatsoever. But fucking Fulham have been down. They've been down since October. Their end of season video came out at fucking Christmas, and now we've had to put up with them rotating their first 11 and mugging us off at Old Trafford in front of fans. The players should be paying, refunding the fans, and giving them all a fucking lift home, no matter where they fucking live. It was laughable. I just cannot get my hat on as to what is going on at this club. I mean, there's me screaming on Twitter that we should get Kane. This is one for the older fans. We wouldn't get fucking Abel at the moment. Never mind Kane. None of you'll get that gag apart from Barry.
Good one.
There you go. Barry's laughing. I can hear him. But I
get Kane and Abel. I
would make sure they all have fucking cold showers tonight, except Cavani. But all these fucking flicks around the corner that Bruno does when we're chasing it. We're chasing a game at Old Trafford against a team that were fucking relegated a fucking 6 weeks ago. Well, 6 months ago. Do me a favour.
I can understand your frustration, mate, and you're absolutely right. I think Sir Alex would have been absolutely furious. We just had no conviction whatsoever, and it's a real shame. You've made me chuckle, mate. It's very, very, very funny.
That's quality, that was. I haven't heard Kane and Abel for years.
Good Kane and Abel game. I mean, I've got to get points for that.
The question is,
Are
we able to get Kane?
We fucking better be. We got the fucking money.
Oh, Neil, I'm so pleased you're back, mate. It's been a few weeks.
This might be my last one for a few months, so make the most of it.
I'll tell you what, we'll do a 2-hour show then. I hope everyone's available. Yeah, thanks for coming back on, mate.
I've got wine to drink after that shit show earlier.
No. We better cut it after 45 then. Fucking hell. So, no, great to see you back, mate. I know obviously you've been a bit poorly the last few weeks, so it's good to see you back.
Yeah. Sounds like Barry's worse than me.
You what, sorry?
Sounds like Barry's worse than me there.
Probably. It's medicine in you, mate. Stu, I can imagine you're pretty much wholeheartedly in agreement with everyone else.
Yeah.
Where did it go wrong tonight?
Well, there's not a lot really to say because, to be fair, the lads have covered it perfectly. What I would say is, and I'm a big believer in this, when you've got a team like Fulham, they've got absolutely nothing to lose. It's always dangerous to play against them because they'll just be in and about you, rushing and pressing hard. And that's what they did, really. And I know some of our fans on Twitter were tweeting that we started the game well. I don't think we played well at all, really, for 90 minutes. There's a couple of reasons for that. First and foremost, the Maguire, I agree with everyone, is a miss. I've been saying it for a while. But I tell you something, as a professional footballer, you've got to be grasping your opportunity. You've almost got to be, if you're a centre-half at a club like Manchester United, you're kind of almost wishing in many ways that you do get your chance through an injury. But the problem you've got is nobody's really taken the chance. We've got no real powerful headers there. We've got no talking. We've got no communication. And when you look at it, come Sunday evening, when the dust has settled, wherever we finish, whether we finish second or third, how the fuck have we got there with McFred in midfield? They played the bulk of our games in midfield, and we've got one of the worst midfielders in the league. So I don't know whether you take your hat off to Ollie for that, or whether you look at the league as a whole and say it's been a poor league this year. It's a difficult one to fathom and get my head around, really. But Ollie's got a head scratch tonight. He's got to go away. He's got to lock himself in his office away from everyone else and decide what he does Sunday and decide what he does Wednesday. Because
hopefully with McFred and they don't come back out with him.
Well, yeah, but I'm with Doc on this one. Wednesday's pivotal for really where it takes us and pushes us on for next season, and whether or not we can attract the likes of, I don't know, Kane. So yeah, well, the thing is, Neil, I'm with you on this, but I've got to put it out there. There's too many Muppet fans that are clambering and crawling for the boycott of sponsors. They're looking to starve us of money. Well, you know, so we can't.
That'll work.
Yeah, but Harry Kane would be a pipe dream for us, wouldn't it? You know, so the club's actually on a bit of a knife edge right now. And everyone's got to decide. The club's got to decide, and the fans have got to decide where we want to go with it. Do we tip the cliff, or do we start climbing up? And people have got a decision to make now. And so, it's a very, sorry to interrupt, Stu. It's a very difficult one. You're absolutely right. We're very much on a cliff edge because, you know, after everything we've gone through for 16 years, and then the final 1 second now, I'll come to you in just 2 minutes, bro. And then after the last few weeks, you know, it's 6 of one, half a dozen, isn't it? And ultimately, we want the owners out. We probably do want to starve them of the money flow that's coming in. Absolutely. But at the same time, that's going to have a huge impact on what we can do and how we progress. Now, even if the Glazers were to turn around and say, right, we're going to get Jadon Sancho, we're going to get Harry Kane, we're going to get Pau Torres, we're going to get a world-class CDM, is that going to be enough for the fans? We've spoken about this in the last few weeks, and I don't think it will. But ultimately, we have to we can't have our cake and eat it, can we? Well, this is where we're at, and this is where we're at. Unfortunately, this is the a part of the season, or the part of the club, part of the club's history where we are right now. We've got everybody's got to take a deep breath. They've got to stop and think what's best now for the club. And we know it isn't the Glazers. So, you know, and I don't want to go down the protest conversation again, because we've gone through that 1,000,001 times. But people have got to take a step back now and really try and understand where we are as a club and what we want to achieve as a club and how we're going to achieve as a club. Sorry, Neil. Should let you in early.
No, thanks, mate.
I'll talk over everybody anyway, Stu. You know me.
I do, old friends.
He does most of the time. So it's like getting a word in edgeways, isn't it? So sometimes he's got to sit back. Neil, you wanted to put a comment on that. So
a quick point regards the owners. Outside of Leicester, how many fans, sets of fans, like their club's owners? I would argue it's single figures at the most, at the very most.
Absolutely.
So basically, fuck the owners. We need to spend big money. We need a top class striker. I think you might be aware I've mentioned him before, but his first name's Harry.
Never heard of him.
We need a decent central holding midfielder.
Harry Abel.
I'm still of the belief that Sancho is just a bit of a mercenary, and I'm not certain that he's better than what we've already got, because in 5 or 6 years' time, Greenwood will be playing centre forward and Harry retires after scoring 250 goals in 6 seasons at United. But every single club through the divisions, most of them hate their fucking owners. So we need to, at some point, we have to get beyond that, because this is about the club, not the owners. We're the club. We're the fans. The fans are the club. So if we turn our back on the club, then that's our decision. That's fuck all to do with the owners. I'd love to go every single week, and I would go every single week. If God willing, I was allowed to go every single week, I'd go. But I've got passion for this club, and I'm not saying you youngsters haven't. By the way, Barry, I don't include you in the youngsters chat. I'm saying you're the guy in this chat. But the point is, this is about the club. It ain't about the owners. It ain't about the 11 who served that pile of shit up earlier. This is about the club and what the one needs to do to move itself forward. And some brave people have got to make decisions. That's why we need a director of football, and a proper one.
Spot on. I see Mark, by the way, has put the old timers on the lower row. What's all that about?
Let me.
I don't know. I thought you were 18.
Let me tell you, Stu.
I look it clearly.
That was out of my control, sweetheart.
I can't believe Connor's
I really apologise for that. And it's just the way that it's worked out.
What about ZZ Top in the far corner? What about your friend ZZ Top?
Next time, if Barry and Neil were on time, then it might have been a different order, yeah? Anyway, I'm only playing.
Yeah, but the thing is, Ben, you were waiting for me anyway, because you sent me a text. So I know you were, so have some of that. Up yours, pal.
A lot of aggression, Neil.
And you look,
a lot of aggression, Ben.
Mark, you're looking very handsome tonight as well, man.
Isn't he always?
Oh God!
Yeah,
if my girlfriend was here, she'd be all over Mark like a cheap suit. I was going to say a rash, but I bet he's had a couple of those.
Get a room, Neil and Mark.
For the networking barrier then, eh? Right, we've gone well off topic. We've got to try and make you out of something in here. First of all, thanks for
put your hand up like that dog. You got to go like that dog. That's it, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Barry, go for it. Right, go for it.
You know, just playing devil's advocate for a moment with respect to new signings.
Can he play centre half?
One of the concerns that I have is that giving Cavani the extra contract may be that we're not going to sign a striker with a view to maybe Greenwood taking over his role. We splashed out quite a lot of money on Diallo. Is he going to be the right winger? Now, I hope that's not the case. But if I look at priorities, Neil, I have to somewhat disagree with you, because I think it's more important. I think that a central defensive midfielder is the most important player that we should buy, followed by another centre-back, followed by a right winger, followed by a striker. And
we signed Kane, we win today.
I don't believe we're going to get all of those. I'll contradict myself, though, and say that the signing of Kane would approximate the signing of Van Persie last season. It's that type of thing. You'd hope he wouldn't get injured. And with the players that we've got, he's a guy who gets so many chances, he'd score a lot of goals.
There's something to be said about Kane.
One final thing to add. Another player that's been disappointed in the last couple of games has been Pogba, and I don't know where he should play. But come the final, nearly okay, mate.
Was that it? I can't remember now.
Yeah, come the final, I would rather see Pogba and one of McFred than the dreaded McFred playing together.
It's like they're all having a rave.
Before
What I was going to say about Kane, and I'll only be brief. What I was going to say about Kane is that we as a club should be all over it because and I don't want to hop back onto Fergie's years and David Gill's years, but under Fergie's and Gill's years, we would have been all over Kane.
We'd have signed him.
Yeah, we would have all over him. And I think we need to kind of show that ambition again. But the problem we have with signing somebody like Harry Kane is it will, unless we get the deal, it'll chew our transfer budget to pieces. And I kind of agree with Doc. And I know Benny's with me on this one. And I know Connor is as well, and Mark, that a CDM is our absolute priority. Because I would go and scoop up Fred, McTominay and Matic and put him in the tip myself. I really would.
Mark likes Matic. Be careful, Stu.
Well, actually, Mark's understanding where Matic is in his career now. So,
Yes.
I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter. You can throw.
Just quickly before anybody goes
Connor,
in,
you've got to do that,
I'm going to go to Connor and Ben now. And just to defend myself very quickly, last season and the season before, Matic was phenomenal. However, he has lost his legs this season. I've been very much on that bandwagon. Right, Connor, there's been lots of talk. Barry mentioned it as well. Pogba, last couple of games. I'm not one to jump on him. You know, everyone has bad games. He's going through a bit of a not so great spell, especially for the last few, as I said. So's Luke Shaw, though. But what were your thoughts on him today? Did he sort of stand out for you, or who stood out for you, really?
I mean, on Pogba, it's very hit and miss, and you never know. This is always been my issue with him, but you never know what Pogba you're going to get. Now, yes, he had a brilliant spell when we were fighting at the top. That seems like a long time ago, doesn't it?
Like a box of chocolates.
Yeah, if you could say that.
Wow.
So, I mean,
I've seen that film as well.
Ultimately, I think on him, it's a difficult decision that's going to have to be made, because do you want to offer him a massive contract and try and keep him at the club? Only because I think the only reason he wouldn't move now is because nobody can afford him. Juventus, Real Madrid, and all these clubs that would want him are in debt, so they're not going to afford him. So I think that's the only reason he would stay, and I don't really want him to stay just based on that no one else will have him, because that's not what we should be doing. So I don't really know where I stand on the Pogba debacle, because he can be a very good player, as we saw earlier in the season, but you don't see it often enough. We need to see that over a whole season, like what we've seen with Bruno. He has the odd one-off game, but he always contributes, and with Pogba, it doesn't feel like you get that. So I don't really know where I stand on that one. But as for who stood out today, I mean, nobody. Cavani scored a brilliant goal, but he didn't really stand out as an amazing performance. The whole back line, I was disappointed with Axel, because I thought maybe, with Maguire being out, he could have stepped up. We know what we're going to get with McTominay and Fred, so I'm not even going to get into those two. Bruno was okay by his standards. Greenwood looked good-ish for the first half, but missed his chances, or chance, should I say. And I think that's the problem. Everyone's talking about Kane and all these strikers we're going to bring in, but are they going to score? We don't create that many chances. Did Cavani have 4 clear-cut chances today? Did Greenwood have 3 or 4 clear-cut chances? So I don't get this whole striker argument.
I totally agree with you, Connor, and I've said this for weeks. It doesn't mean that a striker is the 1 second now. That a striker is the answer. Fundamentally, we're not creating enough, and that's from the midfield, and this is why this kind of emphasizes the lack of a CDM. If we're using 2 players to do that one-man role with McFred that aren't very good at creativity from the back or in midfield, it's not going to create enough of Bruno, and you'll find that he's tracking back all the time. You'll find that Pogba's not playing in his flair left in the top 3 position. And I think that's why it's our biggest problem. Neil's itching to go, but I'm going to go to Benny first, because he's not spoken in a little while.
Not for the first time in my life. I've been itching. But anyway, different story.
We'll talk about that after 9 o'clock. Anyway, Benny, give me your thoughts. Do you agree with what Connor said? Do you think, obviously, it's not necessarily a striker problem? Any other thoughts on that, really, mate?
Mate, I just want a CDM. I'm so bad, but I just can't see Kane coming. I want Kane, but I can't see him coming. I can't see him splashing that much money, and I can't see where would you fit Cavani into everything. Why would you have Cavani another year deal and everything? I don't know. I'd love Kane. I'd love Kane. But in terms of our players, mate, I think half of them are on holiday already. They're in holiday mode. And I noticed that about the women's side as well the other day when they said half of them look like they're on holiday mode as well. Just seems something's missing. There's a little spark that's been missing over the last few games. I don't know, man. I want a striker. I want the club to spend some money. I want a decent CDM. I want a decent centre half. To go alongside Maguire, because Lindelof, mate, was shocking again. It's the second time. He did it against Liverpool as well. It's like you just get. He has a moment of fucking stupidity in his head. It's like he can't concentrate throughout the whole 90 minutes. People are just going. And no disrespect to Fulham, but players of the standard that Fulham have got are just breezing past him like no tomorrow because he's switched off and he's like, Lindelof, what are you doing, son? Switch on, mate. I just want us to just back on a good Solskjaer, man. Otherwise we could be going through this again next season where we run out of steam because we ran out of steam at the end of last season as well. It seems like we're running out of steam again. I think it's as well though that he doesn't trust his whole squad though, because he's losing the same player. Rashford coming on again. It's like I'd have probably possibly given the guy a rest. Just rest him. Till even to the final because he looks shot as well. Questions upon questions upon questions, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, and I think it's a whole periphery of things. Really, I think I don't think Ollie trusts his squad enough, and I think that's he doesn't trust his squad enough, and that's why you see the same team sheet in the big games, but it really stagnates our creativity. I think that there was all this talk at the beginning of the season, even with the inclusion of 6 new players, even though 2 of them are teenagers that aren't really going to show, which is shown. And I think that squad depth really is a problem. And you know what? I hope he goes to the owners this summer. They aren't going anywhere. And I hope he fucking hangs them out to dry. And I hope that he gets them to spend 250 million, regardless of the pandemic. They got that fucking money, and they back him so he's ready for next season.
It's not even the money, in my opinion. It's as long as he gets the players that he wants to build a squad. I couldn't give a shit if it's a 30-year-old in League Two, as long as it's the player that he wants for that.
I think we've seen that, haven't we?
The biggest though, we need to get his first choice in, not his 3rd, 4th, and 5th on the list.
If we sign a 30-year-old. If we sign a 30-year-old from Division 2, I'll bare my arse in Harrods' window, by the way. I'll put that on the fucking record.
I can't wait for that.
According to my girlfriend, it's magnificent. I've never seen it myself.
What's it worth it?
Another
He's talking about Harrods' window.
25 minutes, mate, and you can go to town. I agree with you, Benny. I think he does need to be given something we've seen in the last few years with Ollie. Obviously, he's come in, inexperienced, has been given an opportunity of a lifetime, has taken that relatively well, has done a lot of great things. The way that he deals with the media, has restructured the club above him to a certain extent with recruitment, getting in the right players, not buying players that isn't needed. Do you know what I mean? So the foundations are there. And as I said recently, this is the first time where we're going to get back-to-back Champions League. We've not done that since Ferguson. So does that mean that now they've got that extra injection for getting Champions League football 2nd year in a row, and they might hand him a bit more of a war chest? Who knows? This is something that's really new to us since Ferguson left, right?
Are you saying that getting Champions League 2 years in a row is a result? We're fucking Manchester United.
No, listen. Don't misconstrue my words. What I'm saying is,
I love you, Mark, and your hair and your beard.
This is the first time since Ferguson left. You're absolutely right, Neil. We should be
you have got a great competing
get into finals of the Champions League. But unfortunately, we're not. And unfortunately, we're in a position where if we don't qualify for Champions League twice in a row, once every other season, then we lose money from Adidas. Okay, so they've just done enough in order for us to get to that point. And now we're at a point where we have qualified twice in a row. So does that mean any difference from a funds perspective in the summer?
It's 2 years with Adidas.
Yes, that's
It's
right.
not 1 year.
So no, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, it would have been
years with Adidas. So
No, that's
balls
right.
to the money. We're the club. Us lot talking now. We're the club, not Adidas, not the Glazers, not the directors. We're the club. We make or break the club, the fans. That's a fact. And I'll shut up now for 20 minutes.
Barry.
Okay, excellent.
You wanted to
I think that we, the fans, are not accepting that 2 years in the Champions League in a row is a great achievement. Unfortunately, for the board, it's a good thing. That's what they've strived for because it's extra income and it's a cash injection, for them to plunder more out of the club. So they've seemed to concentrate on that. And, going forward, I'm a little bit concerned to see that the front runner for Woodward's job is Richard Arnold, because it's quite frankly replacing like with like. And I think this summer, this transfer window is going to be a really pivotal period in the history of the club. Because if we don't improve significantly, we are in for another season of mediocrity next season. There's no question about it. So without a decent injection of cash to buy some players, I don't think that Ollie will progress this club any further. And the result of that will be his departure. So I'm very, very interested to see what is going to happen. Of course, the media will be awash. We have already been linked with about 173 players for the coming season. And it would make such a pleasant change for the first thing you read is that the players signed for United, like big clubs like Bayern do, like Barca do. You don't hear all this rhetoric that's going on. And you can write the script already. For example, with Harry Kane. Kane is linked with the sort of big three clubs in England: United, City, and Chelsea. So this will go on for the next couple of weeks. We'll then hear that he's coming to United. We'll then hear that his wife is looking at schools in Altrincham or wherever. We'll then hear that the transfer has hit a snag. And then we'll probably see him holding up the shirt of City or Chelsea. So, that's what I'm hoping doesn't happen. But this transfer window is absolutely pivotal because the other clubs are going to strengthen. That there's no question about. And if we don't, this squad is not good enough to go forward. And of course, we'll get the old cliches like the return of Andreas is like signing a new player. And dare I mention it, Jonah will be back. So, that's what we're in for.
I think you're absolutely right, Barry. I think that this is one of, if not the most pivotal summers. And this is why I was saying earlier, I hope that Ollie takes him out to dry. And then does it mean at that point, they spend the money, he gets the players in, and then we have to continue doing what we're doing. We don't let up at that point. It's their fault for spending money and caving in if that wasn't their intention, just because of our actions. But ultimately, we need them out. So once they've spent that money, we carry on. Thanks for that, mate. Connor, do you agree with what he's saying? Obviously, he needs to be backed in the summer. But do you agree with what Barry said?
I think he needs to be back just to keep up. I mean, a lot of people are underestimating, I think, how strong Chelsea look and will look into next season, because there's no doubt Abramovich is going to back his new mate. He's done it every single time. So expect Chelsea to spend big. Leicester will be there or thereabouts again. I don't think they're ever going to be considered a title challenging team, but they're a tough team as well. You've got the likes of Everton that are backing their manager with Ancelotti there. Liverpool are not going to be this bad next season. Man City will back again and go again. So he needs to be back just to keep in the top four, let alone go and challenge for City. We're a long way behind Man City, and I still think we're a way behind Liverpool still, despite the league positions this season. So, yeah, he definitely. It's a no-brainer, isn't it? But like I said, it's not about the amount of money. It needs to be the players that Ollie wants for his system. We've seen it work over at. I'm not comparing the two managers in Ollie and Klopp, but you look at what's happened over at Liverpool. They don't spend massive, but Klopp gets players that works for his system, which is why you have average players like Jordan Henderson look good in a team, because it's the players that he wants and the type of football and the type of systems that he wants to play. So as long as Ollie gets the players that he is after, and like Benny said, not the third, fourth, fifth choice on the list. The first, Ollie needs to go into that boardroom with a list of players, whether it's a striker, right winger, CDM.
Let me just say, if it was fifth choice, you might be coming in for Harry Maguire.
Well, I was expecting you to say I could part of it as his body double for the final, because Maguire's definitely not. I don't. Well, he's not.
We might need it, mate, and you might be a lot better than Lindelof. Yeah,
I'm not a centre half, I'm afraid. I used to play right back, so very poorly. So I wouldn't be much good there.
Yeah, I just hope he gets backed as well. It's John Silk made a comment there. Fantastic comment. Good to see you, matey. So positives, and ultimately we have to look at those sometimes. Look, we're at the penultimate game. We've got one more left. We need a point to cement that second position. We should have got it done today, and we could have really taken our foot off in the next game. But as he says, fans are back. Cavani goal. And no new injuries to worry about. And that is more than anything else. So whilst we want to be winning every game, and Neil will probably lambast me for this, we do have to look at the positives as well. And John, you're absolutely right, mate. Benny, any final thoughts on what's been spoken about, really? There's not really much else to say on the game. I thought Greenwood was a little bit unfortunate. Probably I tell you what, and I saw the tweet go out on the All for United account. Greenwood should have buried that, and he should have. But it wasn't a cute angle, you know. If he had have scored that, we'd all be really happy for him. It was just one of those things. He unfortunate and missed it, and now we're all on his back. But yeah, anything else, please, mate?
Well, mate, I've still got a nagging doubt in the back of my mind whether the Glazers are even going to back on in the summer. I don't want to be Mr. Puddy, downbeat and fucking, Mr. fucking boring, but I just got a niggling doubt in the back of my mind that they're shut up shop and then they're just going to fucking give them a few million to spend on fucking bang average players. I hope I'm wrong. I know I'm going to be wrong. I'm trying to be a bit positive, but you know what it's like. Greenwood's still a young lad, mate. Stu's thoughts of Greenwood not being a number 9 yet. It'll come in a few years' time. He'll be burying them chances. And to be fair, 7 or 8 times out of 10, he does bury them chances anyway. It's very easy as fans, to say, should have scored that. I could have scored this. We could have scored that. I think sometimes it's very easy for us fans to say that, but I just want us to. The Wolves game, I know there's going to be a lot of rotation given the fact that we've got a final as well a few days after, but we need to go there with a win, mate. We need to come out of that with a win. We need a bit of positivity, a bit of momentum going to that final, because you imagine if we went to Molineux and came away with a loss going into a final, that's not great preparation for a final. We need to make sure that we're coming away with 3 points. Even a draw out of Wolves is not going to be good enough, I don't think. It keeps questions and doubts and nagging. I think we need to really give Wolves a good go. I don't know what team he selects, whether he does go strong-ish, plays most of the players that are playing the final, or whether he does swap and change about. But we need a win, man. We need a win desperately, just to get a bit of momentum, because otherwise I'm a bit worried if we go into that final on the back of a loss or a draw, without having a win in a few games. I just think the mentality is, and we look tired though again. As I said earlier, we look very, very tired again. We're huffing and puffing over the finish line again. And that's a worrying thing. And that's another reason why Ollie needs to be back with his first choice signings, not third, fourth, fifth. First choice. He needs to start building a stronger squad now that he can trust Otherwise, if you keep fobbing them up with third, fourth, fifth choice signings, he ain't going to trust that squad. And we're going to be huffing and puffing towards the end of the season, next season again. So, but that's my little moan out of the way, I suppose.
That's fine, mate. We're here to listen. Don't you worry about that. I as a few of you mentioned, I think it's important he gets backed. I think it's he needs to have more trust in his squad. I think he also needs to improve some of his in-game tactics. I think that he does have tactics. He sets up correctly, but there are times when he could bring on a sub earlier. He could make a change within the formation a bit earlier. So it all comes with experience and practice. At the end of the day, we don't become good at something until we've had enough practice in your environment. So we're quick to sit here and jump on his back for those bad things. But again, as you and I have spoken about, Benny, Stu, Neil, Connor, and Barry, we have to give him the commendation when he deserves it. And I think, on the whole, the season has been very good. It's just unfortunate that we're taking a bit of a nosedive. But again, I agree with your comment, Benny. We need to get a win, and really an emphatic one, because we need to pick up and give ourselves.
Even if it's a scruffy comes off Phil Jones's back, I care, mate. As long as we get the 3 points, we need to end on a little bit of a high, because at the minute we're dipping, and I fear for us if we go to a final on that dip curve, how it affects players' minds and everything, But hey, up.
Yeah, I agree. Stu, any final thoughts, really, mate? Do you agree with what's been said? Have you got? I'm sure you've got your own opinions on some of them, but
I do agree with pretty much what everybody said tonight, which is unlike me. You're absolutely right. But what I would say is, and I've said it before, and I'm going to have to reiterate it, it comes down to player determination. Players have got to show a will to win. Whenever you take across the white line on a football pitch, you've got to show a determination and a will to win. You've got to be able to fight and scratch your way to victory. And we didn't do that again tonight. And I've seen a couple of clowns on Twitter already saying that Ollie doesn't know what he's talking about. We're talking rubbish. But a lot of people, a lot of our fans are very, very knowledgeable about the game, or knowledgeable about the club, but they don't understand football. It fucking amazes me. They don't understand the basics of football. And they'll bob on Twitter and they'll bob on YouTube and they'll talk about, Wally should have played so-and-so here, should have played so-and-so there. Everyone on this panel knows that tactics within a game are fluid. Everything is fluid within a game of football. And our biggest issue at the minute is we just don't seem to want, and it is a want, to win a game of football. And again, I'll get lambasted on that because people don't know what I'm talking about. But you've got to get on there. You've got to take a deep breath. You've got to look at your player. You've got to, or who you're marking with, or that particular segment of that field, which is your responsibility, and you've got to fucking own it. You've got to own it. And we're not doing that at the minute. Shaw, for example, has been woeful for 2 or 3 games. I don't know why. I don't know whether he's tired, whether his mentality's there. I just don't understand what's happening with Shaw. I think with Pogba today, and I totally agree with Connor, you don't know what you're going to get with Pogba. That's the problem. He's an 86 million quid player.
I mean, to be honest, he's had a really good season from a certain point and has been good up to the last 2 games. Now, listen, I don't want anyone to think I'm jumping on his back, but every week we were like, fucking hell, Pogba's doing great. Let's hope he keeps this up. And that's, for me, is not right. He should be playing like that week in, week out, and at least thinking, okay, Pogba's on, we should be okay. Do you know what I mean? But there's too many, and that's like that for a lot of players in our team, not just him.
Well, this is kind of what I'm going back to. It's all about players' determination and will to win. Look, Ollie can do his stuff at the beginning of a game, during the week, at the beginning of a game, and at half time, and he can talk about it at the end of the game. But the onus is on the 11 players who are out there performing and representing Manchester United. Doc's right, and Barry and the rest of the lads are right with Ollie's in-game management. I've mentioned it before. In his time of his substitutions are usually quite critical in the game, but you have to take your chance as a footballer. I mean, and I can only talk from experience. You know, I was picked pretty much every game, but I used to sit in the dressing room until the team was read out, white as a sheet, because you never take your position for granted. And we're getting into a situation where there's a number of players that know they're going to play week in, week out, and you get complacent. And we're hitting this complacent run at the minute, and it's going to be a real problem for us going into Wednesday's game.
Do you think that a bit like Luke Shaw, obviously he's come on leaps and bounds? Do you think that we are at the point of the season where we're lacking that bit of competition? We don't have enough players that are challenging for spots, so consequently Aaron Wan-Bissaka can have a shit game, McFred can have a shit game, Rashford can have a shit game. Yeah, we've not got enough.
I think that's been proven throughout the season anyway. I'm not just saying it's now particular. I think it's been proven throughout the season. There is a lack of competition in there, but there's a big final coming up, and the 23-man squad. If you're part of a 23-man squad in football, and if any of you have played the game, I presume you've played it, Neil, you will fucking know you are desperate. You are desperate for that shirt, and you will be the best in training. You'll be the best every time you get that chance. And nobody can tell me on this panel tonight we saw the best out of any one of those 11 tonight. And that's my biggest worry.
This is a question, I think, for everybody. Do you think some of the players are taking it a bit easier because of how close to the Euros it is now and trying to avoid injury and taking their foot off the gas? Because I think that has definitely got a part to play.
Euros. Euros. Your first job.
You've opened a can of worms now.
To England or to whoever they're playing for. United are paying your wages, mate. I agree with you. It should be a sense of pride to play for Manchester United.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You should be going out there determined, you know what I mean? But I do think that there are some players that have hit that wall. And I think I suggested it earlier on in the season as well. When I first started coming on these shows, it seems like people like Luke Shaw have hit the wall, have played too much football without having a little bit of a rest in between. But you know, you should be taking pride playing for Manchester United. It shouldn't be taken for granted. But you know, footballers these days, you know, they don't care like me and you.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I can't imagine that there's an element of that at all. I think after the year that we've had, it would be very easy of us to say, oh, they're playing, you know, Pogba's playing for a move, or they're now taking it easy because they've pretty much got the top four, and they're worried about you. I can't imagine that's going to be the case, and it would be very silly, really, of anybody to feel that way. Neil and Barry, I'm going to come to you for the last two. You've had your hands up like good little boys for a while now, and it looks like Stu wants in as well. So Neil, come to you first, bud. You're on mute, mate. There you go.
I'm not on mute.
You are. You're not now.
It said the host has unmuted you, Mike.
I had to mute you because I was getting feedback in the back. I'm sorry, mate.
There's no one here. There's no one here.
No, when someone else was talking earlier, I could hear all sorts of rustling, so I muted all your bastards.
All the girls are upstairs getting ready.
What were you saying, mate? Go on.
All the girls are upstairs getting ready. No, my point is, now and Stuart's right. I did play football at a good level. I came from a family. My brother and my father were both professional footballers. I wasn't good enough to get to that level, but I did play semi-pro for about 15 years. And sometimes it's not about the manager trusting the players. Do the players trust the manager? And Stuart would know this because I'm guessing Stuart's played at a decent level. You do sit in the dressing room, and one of the reasons you go white when you're waiting for the shirt, you could have scored a hat-trick the week before. You could have been, you know, scored a penalty in the 93rd minute. But you still go white because you don't trust the manager to know what he's doing. And that's the issue I've got with Ollie. Now, I could get slaughtered on Twitter for this, and I don't give a damn because I'm more about the club. But I just want to see more passion from the output that we're getting. And the passion comes from the management team down to the pitch. I don't want to see Ollie sitting on the bench and having a bit of a laugh. I want to see him berating his players because we're drawing 1-1 with a team that was relegated in about the third week of October.
Can I be honest a minute? I'm not Ollie in or out. But I feel it was only a few weeks ago where we didn't have, no disrespect to anyone in the comments, but people in the comments very much Ollie out, and we weren't having discussions about the lack of passion and that sort of thing. I do think that Ollie's passionate. I do think that he's brought the best out in the players, and I do think that the players are there for him. I honestly believe that. I honestly believe that we have got, and I see it all the time, tweets that come out saying, I don't care what anyone says about this United team. I absolutely love this group of players, and I can't disagree with that. And I feel that that's testament to Ollie, no?
I'm not saying I don't disagree. But what I'm saying is you get in a position sometimes when you're a team of the 11 plus the subs, do you trust what the manager's telling you to do? And that's different. This 11 at the moment is this 11 or 15 is pretty much picking itself because there's no pressure from the outside of that 15. So does this 15 that's pretty much picking itself, do they trust the manager? And I'm of an opinion at the moment, and I'm 50-50 on this, because I see too much. I don't see enough oomph. Proper. Just fucking hell. Let's get after them.
It's because we're old school.
I don't see that from Ollie that I've seen in managers that we've had in the past. And I know everybody's going to go back to Sir Alex, but I saw more oomph from Van Gaal than I'm seeing from Ole. I'm not saying I want Ole. I'm not saying I want Van Gaal. But what I'm saying is, does this 15 players, and that's what it is, it's about 15 players, do they trust the manager? And I'm not sure, based on today, against a team that were relegated months ago.
I think it's because we're old school, Neil, because I'm not Ollie in and Ollie out, as everybody knows on this panel anyway.
I know you're not, Stu.
But you're absolutely right, because we're old school. I played at a decent level like yourself. Yeah, absolutely. But you know as well as I do, Neil, that you've been on that pitch, and I was a centre-half. I don't know where you played. Centre-half and a CDM is where I played most of my playing days. And I'd be scanning the pitch constantly, left to right, left to right. Who's the danger man? Why aren't we closing him down? And it would change all the time during the game. It'd be their number 11, or it'd be their number 8, it'd be their number 7, or whatever. And you're constantly talking and moving players into position in and around the pitches. And we're not doing that at the minute. For whatever reason, I don't know why we're not doing it. But
you don't think we are?
No,
he's right.
Do you think it might? And again, I'm just trying to be devil's advocate here.
Stuart's right. He's absolutely.
Listen, I don't disagree with him.
We missed leadership. We had Steve Bruce all those years ago when Ferguson just broke through, and if you were going to, and Steve Bruce is the best centre half ever to not win a cap for England. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. He never got picked for England 11. But you look at Steve Bruce, and I see so many similarities with Maguire in terms of the leadership. They're not the quickest, but they get themselves in the right position. They control everything in front of them. Take Maguire out of this team, and we're junk. And I absolutely 100% agree with Stu.
Now, we had this conversation, didn't we, Benny, at Wall of Reds? And I was talking about Maguire's attributes, actually. And I wasn't talking about anything but his leadership. He wasn't quick. But if you remember when we had Steve Bruce there, we had Peter Schmeichel behind Bruce. We had Schmeichel, Bruce, and we had Keane. And that's what you need to do. You got Schmeichel and Bruce organising the back four.
Spine.
You got Roy Keane organising the front five, so to speak. And that's what we're missing. That's why we desperately need for a CDM, a good CDM who can control the play. We're desperate for that. And look, anyone can say who they want for that. You know, I'm sure Barry's got his own viewpoints on who he would want. But those are the key elements, and they're basic key elements, Mark, of football. You're right, Neil?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You okay?
Oh.
I'm fine.
Okay.
Carry on.
They're the basic elements of football. But I was talking about this, wasn't I, the other
I'm
night?
going to have to ring an ambulance now. Careful, Neil. Go get yourself a water if you need to, buddy.
I'm fine.
Okay.
I like listening to Stu. Barry puts me to sleep, but Stu keeps me awake.
Well, I'll let Barry put you to sleep.
Good news for you, Neil. Barry's been waiting there very patiently, and I'm really sorry, Barry, I couldn't get to you sooner, but you had your hand held up. What do you need to say?
No problem. I caught up on a bit of a nap whilst Neil was speaking, so it was fine. You talk about the spine of the team. Well, this team, in fact, is spineless. And as the saying
There you
goes,
go.
It's easy to be flexible when you're spineless. And therein lies the problem. And what concerns me is when things aren't going well in a game, if you look to the bench, we do not really have someone who can come off the bench and change the game. We've got one player maybe because you're tossing up between Greenwood and Rashford and Cavani. One of them's usually sitting on the bench. But besides them, we do not have anybody else that can come off the bench and make a difference. And again, I think there are points about, we always refer to the good old days, but it in essence is leadership. And I have to say, as much as it rankles me, I absolutely agree with Neil with what he says with respect to the likes of Steve Bruce, where you've got somebody who organises the defence, and Maguire is that player. The problem is that when he looks forward to the midfield in front of him, he really doesn't have much to choose from. And therein, I think, lies the problem, and that is what has to be remedied going forward. Just picking up on another thread that Ben mentioned, the problem with the Wolves game on Sunday, you may or may not be aware, but Villarreal were meant to play on Sunday. Their game was brought forward to Saturday by the Spanish League. Obviously, the FA won't change our game because all the games have to be played at the same time on Sunday. But to put our best team out on Sunday and then to play again on Wednesday, I don't agree with. And we'll have to see what happens with the Chelsea-Leicester game. It's 0-0 at half time there at the moment. If it's a draw, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've then cemented second place. And I don't think we should risk certain of the players on Sunday. I would wrap a couple of them in cotton wool and to hell with the result against Wolves. But of course, if we do lose against Wolves, we go into a final having, not won the last 4 games, which really is very, very poor form. But it all boils down to Wednesday's game. That for us, I guess, becomes the most important game of the season. It's a must-win game. It's going to set the tone for next season. It's going to set the tone for what the mood in the club is like. And, coming back to comments made by Stu and Neil, I'd love to see Ollie get off his butt during a game. I mean, he sits watching bloody Netflix for most of the game in his chair over there. And I do think that he should be...
Sounds like the dream.
Have you watched Narcos? Have you watched Narcos on Netflix? It's fucking brilliant.
So I do think he should be injecting a bit of
we'll do a show in a couple of nights on Neil's views on Narcos. It is a great show, to be fair, but we'll cover that another time.
Well, you know what? If you've watched Ted Lasso, that's who we should have on the bloody sidelines. Have you seen that?
Prick.
No.
No, you got the other one you got to watch is Mayans. Have you watched Mayans?
That's
Sons of Anarchy. Sons of Anarchy is brilliant.
We're getting off the topic.
Yeah, guys, I was going to say we'll definitely have this conversation again, but we're going off on the tangent.
We have to win on Wednesday. That is going to certainly going to set my mood for the South African winter, the English summer. That's for sure.
Doc, give him an elbow. An elbow, Doc.
Can I just say though? Do you think the goalkeeping issue now is creeping into why the back four has not been settled either? Because I play centre half. When your keepers keep constantly changing, and I've also played as a goalkeeper. And when you're in and out, it doesn't do you any good. I think
Could we maybe go around the panel as to whom we
Yeah, you know what? I was about to
Wednesday?
say, great point there, Benny. I'm going to go around very quickly, and I want you to tell me who you would prefer in goal in the final next week. Just to make some points very clear, I think we've all come to the agreement, or at least a couple of us have said it. Henderson has really improved the back to middle. David De Gea had a phenomenal game against Roma, but he shouldn't be put into that position. He made a great save today. I love David De Gea, and I think possibly it could be his farewell today, if I'm honest. So I'm gonna go around very quickly. Connor, Benny, Stu, Neil, Barry, David De Gea or Henderson in the final. Connor.
I think it should be. I don't know. I think it should be Henderson, but I think it's going to be De Gea because it feels like a send off, doesn't it, for him? I know Neil just said today he was, but I think De Gea will probably start in the final. But it should be Henderson, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to go just quickly before Benny, and then I want people to get their voices in the comments on who they think should start. I'm going to say Henderson as well. Benny, what do you think, mate?
I'm going to go Henderson because I want a strong back line. I want a strong keeper. Yes, he made mistakes against Liverpool, but he's a young keeper. Remember, as I said before, on Wall of Reds, we've been there with David De Gea when he's made mistakes. You need to stick by a goalkeeper, otherwise you shoot the confidence. And also that comment that Fred just made about that bullshit about Sky Sports earlier on, trying to, make a bit of a riff saying, they don't think either De Gea or Henderson might be staying next season.
Oh my God.
Do you know what I mean? So
I did
trying
see
to
that.
put their boring already. Do you know what I mean? But for me, to cut us along, I say Henderson. But you know what? It's going to be De Gea, but I want Henderson. But I know it's going to be De Gea. I mean, it's going to get the last send off, and because he missed the Europa League final to Sergio Romero, so I think he'll definitely play. But I want Henderson.
Okay. Just quickly on that point, you have to wonder sometimes how a news outlet also has a betting company because they put shit out like that, and it will certainly deter people or make people's minds up. Anyway, Stu, your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually agree with you guys. I think De Gea will start, but for me, Hendo should be number one. He does give that air of calmness. He's very, very strong in the box, very strong in the air. He's getting there slowly but surely with his kind of talking and communicating at the back. But I do agree. I think De Gea farewell, but Henderson should be starting on Wednesday.
Good. 4 in 4, pretty much. Neil, yours.
Well, as I said at the start of the season, on this channel, Henderson should be number one, is number one, and will be fucking number one. Because
Neil, this channel,
all for United.
Who are you cheating on us with? What other fucking channel?
No, this channel. I only go on this channel. I don't trust this channel because I'm allowed to get drunk on there and really go for it. But Henderson should have been number one at the start of the season. They should have cashed in on De Gea. And today was his farewell to Old Trafford. And if you want to win the thing is with Henderson, he moves the defence 15, 20 yards further up the pitch. And that's the good thing about Henderson.
I totally agree with that. It's a very good point. I totally agree.
I know it
with
is.
that. Spot on. Of course you know. Of course you know. Barry, do you agree with me?
I am going to disagree with the panel, and I'm going to say that I want De Gea to play in the final. De Gea, as we call him in South Africa.
Yeah,
and
you can have him.
I think he will play in the final, and I have a feeling that will be his final game for United, because I think when Henderson was made number one for the league games, it was done with the knowledge that De Gea will probably be moving on at the end of the season.
yeah.
Those are my thoughts. And the other thing is, I think that Ollie, one of his faults potentially may be that he shows misappropriate loyalty to some. And I do think that he'll have him in goals. Bear in mind, it's against Spanish opposition. I think he'll get the nod, and I think he'll do fine.
Yeah,
Fair point. And you know what?
Can I just say something? Sorry, I know that's skeptic. Sorry, I ain't got me readers on. Hold on. He's saying, so is Henderson better than De Gea? Oh my goodness. Right, this is the point though. Is if De Gea is going to move on,
the floor is yours.
Brilliant.
Benny, give me all your loving. Give me all your loving. You're a sharp-dressed man.
If De Gea is going to move on for family reasons, which I think that's what it is. I think he's had as I said in previous shows, had a conversation with Ollie. He wants to move on. He wants to go to Spain to be close to his child and everything, and to his missus. You've got to give somebody a chance. I'm not saying that Dean Henderson at this moment in time is better than David De Gea, but what I am saying is the lad's got potential. The lad's got really good potential. And yes, he fucked up against Liverpool. David, all the best goalkeepers in the world fuck up. You know, Alisson fucked up loads this season. You know, fucking the Wally in goal for Stockport's fucked up loads this season.
We've all seen that.
You know, so I'm just saying that even the best goalkeepers in the world can always have a moment of lapse of concentration, make an error. You know, just stick by him. We stuck by De Gea when he didn't look so convinced at the start. Like I said on the Wall of Red show, that I remember when the Arsenal game I go back to De Gea's first season, he saved the penalty from Van Persie, but then he also went to try and catch a ball straight through his hands. And I always remember, because I sit with the away fans at Old Trafford, the Arsenal fans was trying to dodge a keeper throughout the whole match. Yeah. You know what I mean? And look how David De Gea grew into the role. You know, I'm just saying, I'm not saying he's better than David De Gea now, but give the lad a chance. You know, that's all I'm saying. It's what because he does. He's a solid goalkeeper, and he does make us a lot more solid at the back than David De Gea, and he controls his back line a bit more than De Gea. I think he speaks a lot more, you know, and he's a lot quicker in distribution, and I think he's a lot better as well.
Yes, sometimes for weeks.
I totally agree with all your points, mate.
I'll
say a few points to wrap up in a second, but Connor, quick one, buddy.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say what I've been saying on this show for weeks. I think De Gea is still the better goalkeeper, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's right for the team. Henderson's better for the team, which is why Henderson will be number one next season. There you go. I'll end it there for you, Mark.
Thank you, mate. Do you want to do the credits and everything as well? No, geez, right. Listen, I appreciate that everybody is entitled to their opinions, and I see comments in here all the time, some that I agree with hugely, some that I very much disagree with. And what I will say about Henderson is he was at Sheffield United for 3 seasons. Okay, he let in less goals than David De Gea last season at Sheffield United. Now you can imagine how many shots, and statistically, that is a commendable job. Okay, he does calm our defence. He is far more commanding, and he will be our number one. And unfortunately, David De Gea's time is coming to an end, and he will move on, and we will be okay without him. And I think that Dean Henderson, if anybody, is going to do that job pretty well. So we'll just have to see how it unfolds. Listen, thanks everybody tonight. Really great discussion. Enjoyed having you all on, and I'd love to do this again sometime because that was good fun. Everyone in the comments, really appreciate your comments coming in. We had quite a few views on Facebook, which we still have. Come over to YouTube next time. Get involved with the comments and conversation. We'd love to hear your views. Listen, shame about the result today. Really disappointing. We can't have it every week. We've got one more game left, and then we've got the big one. Okay, and at the end of that conversation, boys, I want to hear us all being really fucking positive and cheering and the rest of it. Stu, you're on mute, bro. You're on mute.
I'm still on mute. This has got to be good.
Connor getting here, slated by Skeptic, right? Okay, and I'd like to know when Connor got destroyed. It's
when I said about Dean Henderson being better for the team, which he is. He pushes the back line. We've already said he pushes the back line further forward. De Gea is a better shot stopper, but that's not to say Henderson can't improve on that. He's better for the team. That's my point.
Do you know why I think he's done it? He's listened to Doc. He's listened to Doc's explanation and hasn't realised what Doc was saying. Unfortunately,
Who does?
Well, that is true.
Connor, I know he hasn't got any grey hair, But he got that point right. I'll give him that.
He did,
And
yeah.
Ben, you're a sharp dressed man.
I love the glasses, Billy. You know that.
This.
Neil, that didn't
I've lost
go
my
above
train
my
of
head.
thought.
I know exactly where you're coming from with Ben.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's going on. Yeah, I mean, because you're ZZ Top, aren't you, Doc? I mean, these lot don't understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Guys,
It's Billy Gibbons.
Do you know what's- do you
Billy
know what's
Gibbons. There you
ironic?
go. Name the bass player.
I'd love to go on all day. You know what? Next time I'm going to speak to Ben about this.
Sorry,
We're going to have to get a
last
nice
comment.
Do you know?
2-hour
Do you know?
conversation.
Hang on, Ben. Can I just say this, Mark? Can I just say this? The drummer in ZZ Top hasn't got a beard, and his name is Frank Beard.
It is. Yeah.
There you go. Now that's the way to end a show.
Yeah.
Fucking hell! Come on.
ZZ Top.
ZZ Top's drummer is called Frank Beard, and he
I know.
fucking got
Only
one.
without a beard.
He is.
Fucking hell. Right, listen, I'm going to wrap this up now. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I'd appreciate no more.
I don't believe you.
All right. I want to see this one out. But now, seriously, all five of you are excellent tonight. And really great to have you all on. Neil, great to see you looking healthy, mate. Barry, good to see you again, buddy.
Thanks, Mark. I thought Neil was very poor tonight, actually.
Yeah, I would second that. But we'll get him on again at some point, and we'll try and get a good one out of him. Listen, thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you again soon.